Good day. I, Castil, and my partner
James Ryan Castañares.
will be discussing about federalism, with focus on Philippine federalism, its advantages and disadvantages. Let's start with the question, what is federalism? Well, federalism is a system of government in which the same territory is controlled by two levels of government. Generally, an overarching national government is responsible for broader governance of larger territorial areas, while the smaller subdivisions, states, and cities govern the issues of local concern. The goal of federalism is to preserve personal liberty by separating the powers of the government so that one government or group may not dominate all powers. In short, federalism is division of authority and its subunits. Federalism cares for the development of the authority and its subunits. The United States of America is a good example of a federal nation. We have been under federalism for over 200 years. Every state has its own ways of governance, making its own policies and laws. But the national government, who oversees the whole nation, imposes the written constitution for all its subunits to follow in making its own laws and policies. Meanwhile, the Philippines has been a democratic country after Corazon Aquino restored it. But the current president, Rodrigo Duterte, has been planning to convert the Philippines government system into federalism, envisioning it as the key to bring lasting peace, progress, and prosperity for all people. Under a federal government, each territory shall be empowered to handle its own laws, finances, development plans, health, education, and infrastructure, among others. According to former Speaker Pantaleon Alvarez, a federal setup creates opportunities for local governments to manage their own economy and chart their own destiny. Based on the proposals of the territory of the future Federal Republic of the Philippines, will be divided into 5 states composed of Luzon, Visayas, Mindanao, Bangsamoro, and Metro Manila. Under the proposal, each state shall have its own state constitution, adopt its name and choose a capital, flag, anthem, and seal. Each state shall have a unicameral state assembly with legislative powers and a premier exercising executive powers. State governments shall be entitled to at least 50% of the proceeds of the utilization and development of the national wealth, including sharing the same with the inhabitants by the way of direct benefits. But would this change be a practical solution for our nation's problem? Let's hear more from James.
So thank you, Crystal, for discussing about what is federalism and what are its goals. So now we will discuss and we will focus on discussing about the advantages and disadvantages of a federal country. First, we will discuss on what are the benefits and advantages of a federal country. In a federal country, the country will be divided into region states, and each states will have their own government and will be independent, especially in terms of economic policy and creation and implementation of laws. And this way, the regional government can focus on the needs of the people in their respective regions. And each regions can also retain bigger incomes, and it will be up to them on how the budget will be in use. Having a federal country enables the country to be productive, for the government funds will be divided. Instead of having a 100% or full control of the budget, it will be divided and it will be split into 20% for the federal government and 80% will be distributed to local governments. The local governments can also create more opportunities to execute policies and laws without the need of approvals of the federal government, and also the projects and plans of infrastructures can also be implemented without the need of the approval. The issues of the country can also be divided, for the federal government will be responsible for the national affairs such as national security and national defense, while the local governments are responsible for the local affairs of the respective region states like education, infrastructures, and etc. Also, the governance in each region may differ, for it depends on the needs of the respective regions. But how about the cons? So, we'll discuss how federalism can have a negative effect to a country. So, having a federal country will result to further divisions among Filipino people. It may widen the gap of the cultural and political gaps among regions. According to a political expert, it may be possible that control and influence of political dynasty can heighten in their respective regions under a federal system. Inequality can also happen because the resources of each region are not the same. Because of this, inequality will rise. For an example, regions that has more agriculture lands will produce greater food production than those regions with little or no agriculture lands. And it can also cause of inefficiency. So having a federal country, it can be an efficient way on producing or properly using the budget of the country, for it may be corrupted by the local government units, and some may pocket the budget instead for the use of for the betterment of the country or the region. Even though this type of government has pros and cons, but the progress of country does not depend on any government type, but it is by the unity and cooperation between citizens and government that is true and respectable and responsible, and that is not corrupt. So let us all cooperate and be united